German Expressionism, defined most often by sharp edges, dramatic sets, and an emphasis on the macabre, the style has left an impact on cinema, inspiring many directors from Alfred Hitchcock to Christopher Nolan and Tim Burton. German Expressionism was born during the early 20th century, peaking around 1920, right after World War I. German Expressionism was a part of a much larger movement in Europe, directly inspired by Expressionist painters and artists, confronting emotions through their work to vocalize the changing political landscape in Europe and the advancement of the Industrial Revolution. Due to the ban of foreign films in Germany in 1916, there were more domestic filmmakers creating in the country than ever, as demand began to rise. Because of the ongoing economic crisis in Germany after World War I, and with another war around the corner, German Expressionism is gloomy, dark, and creates a feeling of unease. The work conveys the attitude of many at the time, and the films began to see wide success throughout Europe. Works like Nosferatu, The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, and Metropolis are some of the more pivotal films from this era. They are known for their bold lines and incredible set design and mise-en-scène. Yi Lam Lau from the University of Exeter wrote, "Emphasis on the character's actions is commonly seen in Hollywood cinema, whereas in German expressionist films, the sets and actors' appearance and movements are blended together as a whole piece. As the character and set blend into one, their emotions are represented not only in the actor's physicality, but in their surroundings too. There's less of an emphasis on realism, but rather the emotional experience in the scene. The inner thoughts of the character are the focal point of every shot, with the set reflecting this. The set often feels looming, even daunting, with sharp edges and spiraling. The production designer for The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Hermann Warm, said, "The film image must become graphic art," in regards to the set created by him and his team. German Expressionism leaned into the shadows and dark stairwells. We see this scene in Nosferatu, with the shadows almost crawling around the villain Count Orlok, giving the audience a feeling of uneasiness and unrest. Almost like we can feel his gnarled hands reaching towards us. The tale of Nosferatu was almost lost forever, similar to many German Expressionist works that were suppressed and burned during the Nazi regime in the Second World War. Nosferatu, directed in 1922 by Frederick Wilhelm Murnau, is synonymous with vampire, about a Dracula-like creature named Count Orlok, who has a lust for human blood and stalks his prey at night, shrouded in darkness and shadows. Unfortunately for F.W. Murnau, he did not obtain the rights from the Stoker estate or get permission from the author of Dracula. Due to the stark similarities, even the earlier versions of Nosferatu being titled Dracula, Florence Stoker, the widow of the famed writer, won a court case against Murnau, and the judge ordered all copies of the film to be destroyed in 1925. However, a few copies managed to survive, making their way to the United States, bringing German Expressionism to the Americas. Many German filmmakers from this era also fled to the United States during World War II, including Billy Wilder, Edgar Ulmer, and Fritz Lang, going on to direct and produce movies in Hollywood, inspiring and bringing about film noir in the United States, a genre also focused around darker themes with high contrast lighting. When the Hays Codes were abolished in 1968, filmmakers in the United States were free to experiment and play with darker undertones in films. German Expressionism breathed new life into cinema. With directors like Tim Burton, you can clearly see its influence when it comes to lighting and the overall mise-en-scène of his films. I think you can see the most clear parallels in the film Edward Scissorhands from 1990. Tim Burton plays with shadows, and his characters often have this heavy makeup that looks meant for stage performances that reminds me of The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari at many moments. They also have this certain physicality that plays and interacts with the environment, bringing the characters' emotions to the forefront of the shot. The influence of German Expressionism is a through line in many films and cinema, from Alfred Hitchcock's Vertigo to Batman to even Taylor Swift's music videos. Though many films were destroyed or suppressed in World War II, the impact of German Expressionism lives on in our modern cinema through its bold shapes and colors, and continues to inspire filmmakers today.